Welcome again to another edition of Started in Seattle. Today I'm here with Looney Leaves from Fledge, one of the more interesting startup incubators in Seattle, actually. And we're currently based in the Hub Seattle building. And so can you tell us a little bit about what Fledge does and what makes you guys so unique?
Sure, thanks. So Fledge is the conscious company incubator. The most snarky way to say this is we are tech stars for companies with purpose. Sorry, Andy. But similar model. So lots of companies apply from all around the world. We pick just a handful. We invite them to come here into the hub for 10 weeks. We pay them to come. We do as much as we can to help them, bring in tons of mentors, bring in mentors until they tell us to stop. At the end, we put them up on stage, just over here, in front of a few hundred people, and then support them going forward. And so the basic premise is the same as the other accelerators, which is it's really hard to start a company. And if you give entrepreneurs a ton of help at the beginning and you give them a network of support, then their chances of success are way higher.
Right. Okay. Excellent. And so, since you're sort of a socially conscious incubator, can you tell, as a startup going forward, how is that going to differ in their challenges as opposed to just usually they're told grow fast and get ready for your IPO, right? But there's going to be a little bit different in your case.
There are some differences. I was really surprised. So I spent 20 years as a software entrepreneur. Fledge is my 6th startup. I have another one after that as well. 5 companies that I've started, founded or co-founded. And almost all of that was in tech. And so when I jumped over this fence into this conscious space, I thought there'd be vast differences between running a company that wasn't just a bunch of hackers and some business folks versus running companies that do lots of other things. Turns out all those lessons, all those challenges are really similar. You still have to find something to bring to market that customers want to buy. Right. Ultimately, that's running a business, right? And you don't always do that by going heads down and coding, but you always start out by talking to people, finding out what they need, and figuring out what's the simplest path to bring them something to prove out what you're doing. So that's all the same. The huge difference comes what comes next. So assuming you get up and running, where are you going?
Right.
So in the case of these conscious companies, they exist for a higher purpose. These entrepreneurs are trying to solve a major problem in the world. And so if you come here to Fledge and you chat with these companies and you ask what's your exit strategy, you get some blank stares. Right? The exit strategy is succeeding at solving the problem. And a consequence of doing that in the structure we advocate here and choose for here is you'll make money doing it while you solve the problem. Right?
Making money is still an important factor. Otherwise, you won't exist, and the solution will never reach.
Yeah, sustainable business as both fiscally sustainable for the planet, but first and foremost, making money from customers, not philanthropy. So we actually had a great event in the last group at Fledge. We went over and had a joint session between Fledge and 9 Mile Labs.
Oh, okay.
Right? We did our morning stand-up, the Fledge morning gathering, at 9 Mile Labs with their companies. And I asked for a show of hands. I said, how many people here want to sell their companies in the next 3, 4, 5 years? And half the hands went up. And there were only people from 9 Mile Labs. There wasn't a single participant in Fledge whose desire was to flip their company, right, or to sell it elsewhere. And so we deal with that. It's both a good thing and a challenge.
Okay, so that leads to an interesting question: fundraising, right? Because that's something a lot of investors are looking for. It's like, is this going to be IPO or sell to a larger company in a matter of years, right? How does a company in your incubator say, what's their approach to fundraising and being able to grow?
So that's actually no different. There are impact-oriented venture capitalists. There are impact-oriented angel groups. There are impact-oriented angels. And some of them are the same people that are out there doing traditional investments, right? Looking for that 10x.
Right.
But because in social enterprise and conscious companies, when the company gets purchased, it's often considered selling out rather than selling. that's not that's not the first thing that's thought of.
Uh-huh.
It's not how are we going to wait around for someone else to see this as a value so that we, the investors and the entrepreneurs, can make money in what we've done in monetizing the value. Instead, I actually took a different page out of a different Andy Sack instrument. He's also the founder of Lighter Capital.
Right.
Lighter Capital does revenue-based loans to established companies. I took that model and brought it all the way back to seed capital. So the Fledge investment model that we use is revenue-based equity investments. We own 6% of the fledglings.
Right.
They repurchase the stock from us, right, upon their success out of their future revenues. And I advocate this as follow-on money for the investors that come along as well. So then the goal is let's build a company that has lots of revenues.
Right.
Right. That's a goal that both the entrepreneurs and the investors can both get behind. Right. Well, why do you want a company without revenues? That's great. So let's make a company that has revenues, growing as fast as we can with the resources we have, given there's less money in this space.
Right.
100x less money in this space. But let's grow as fast as we can, given those resources, make revenues, and then get paid back a reasonable multiple. Right. And one thing we do at Fledge that's different than a lot of accelerators is we go deep into entrepreneurship education. So I happen to teach entrepreneurship upstairs at the Bainbridge Graduate Institute.
Okay.
I take the same material and I teach it to the fledglings. And one of those lessons, which actually originated from Jeff Entris, right, big investor in town,
Right.
is what's the venture capital business model? Why do they exist? What's their purpose? How do they make money? And bottom end of the, you run through the whole thing, you wind up seeing that a successful VC is making 2.3 times their money. So in the revenue-based world, I say, great, why don't we just aim for 3 or 4 or 5? Right? Not all will come through.
Right.
We can make the same 2.3x that they make without the 10x returns. Right? We just get a lot more 5-time return on capital from revenues without anyone having to buy.
Okay.
Right? So in the end of the day, we're aiming to get to the same endpoint, but without the lottery, right? Without the focus on 10x, without the focus on, this is something Google wants to buy.
Right.
Right. And without trying to grow, at such a rate that it kills people.
Right. And so, in the community here, I think there's fewer sort of investors looking for that type of thing. Has that been an issue, or do you think there's enough out there still for the companies that need it, if they need it?
Yeah, so there's the lament by all entrepreneurs in all markets that there isn't enough angels. And I hear
that's true. Yeah.
I hear this from California entrepreneurs, where there's 10x more money than in Washington State. There are way fewer investors that want to try and mix doing good and doing business. There are out there. There's you see studies and there's billions or hundreds of billions of dollars in this space, depending on how you define it. But there are way fewer investors like that. And so we're dealing in a market that has fewer startups as well. Right? So the good news is I think the impact investing community, which is generally what it's called, is growing faster than the impact entrepreneurship community.
Okay.
And we're early. It just feels again like like the 90s back here in the tech scene. There was little money back then. There were almost no angel groups. None of the infrastructure we take for granted.
Right.
So here we are. It's 2013 and we're growing a new industry.
It's a fun time to be here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can see from the wall behind us here, right? There's 600 pictures back here of people who want to make this happen.
All right. And so these fledglings, the companies you're incubating, are they all pretty set by the time they come out? Are they all healthy in the revenue sector? Do they at least have a good plan approaching, or is it still they're still feeling their way out? Like,
so I think that's one more difference we have. Fledge is not a hackathon. So since most of the companies are not tech-centric, you can't always get to the up and running prototype on demo day. It's kind of a misnomer. It's not quite the demo. We push really hard and say, get something in the market. Follow lean startup. Get your MVP out, even if it has to follow Dropbox's concept of the MVP is a video.
Yeah.
Right. Where the MVP is an event we held, or the MVP is this one-page website and a campaign around it.
Right.
do something to validate. Everyone that comes out of Fledge knows where they're going, so which direction are they headed, why they're going that direction, right? And they've looked at dozens or hundreds of other possibilities to know that that's the actual right way to go.
Right.
And what's surprising is, again, comparing to other accelerators, very few teams come in with one idea and walk out with another idea. They all walk in with a purpose. They all walk in with a problem they're solving, and no one ever gives up that problem. No one's ever defected to another team.
Okay.
No one's ever done anything except
There's not a lot of pivots going on.
There's a huge number of pivots. The pivots all come around the solution. The problem always stays fixed.
Right.
And so that's another change I've seen between the software world and the social good world. These entrepreneurs have to solve this problem. Come hell or high water, they're going to solve this problem, and the solution can be all over the map. And so they often walk out with a new solution, or they walk out with the same solution, but now they know why it's the actual best choice.
Right.
And some walk out with some revenues and customers. Yeah, that's always nice to have. Some walk out with a little bit of investment. That's nice to have, but it's kind of maybe a little bit earlier than you'd see from other accelerators.
It's going to take time.
Everything takes longer than you want,
Yeah.
and I'm plugged in enough to the other accelerators, I've been a mentor of the other programs, to know sometimes there's a little smoke and mirrors going on how far along the company's got.
Right. Gotcha. All right. Any sort of last little tidbits you want to dole out to the entrepreneurs out there that want to do good at the same time?
Actually, I want to. The call out would be to all the entrepreneurs out there. Why are you just doing a company that's saving $1 or saving $1 million, right? Why aren't you out there using your skills and using your experience to do better in the world, right? So for all of you, come to our demo days, right? The next one's November, but if you're watching this after November, come to the next one after that. Watch them all online. They're all public. They're all visible on the Fledge website. Get inspired. Go do something important in the world.
Excellent. Yeah, and they all do very amazing things. Actually, I was looking at them
all over the map,
and then it's so cool to see some people working on it. So it's very interesting. Thank you very much, Mike. Thanks for taking the time to talk to Started In. And so definitely look into Fledge and all the amazing startups that are coming out of it.